What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. This video is totally going to be different. This one will not be editing for retention, all this fancy stuff. No, this one will just sit and we talk, right? On February 1st, 2024, I left Gambia with one mission, to travel to every single country in West Africa by road. I had no plan. All I had was I had money in my account, and then I just set out, right? Some countries I stayed like 1 month. Some countries I stayed 3 days. Some countries I stayed 10 days, I was just going with the vibe, going with the flow. So from Gambia, I went to Guinea via Senegal, in this bus. It took like 3 days. And then from Guinea, we went to Sierra Leone. From Sierra Leone, Liberia, Ivory Coast, Ghana, Togo, Benin, Nigeria, Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali, Mauritania, Senegal, Cape Verde, Guinea-Bissau, and then I went back home through Senegal again. This whole journey took like 5 months, right? And these are some of the things that I've learned, and I'm sharing this in the form of like questions, like Q&A, some of the questions that you've asked me, so I'll be answering that, sharing some of the things that I've learned. So, Ada said, did you ever have a moment where you felt like I could live here? Or, a place that I felt most at peace or connected to nature? Well, for the place that I felt I could live, it's like number 1 is Lagos, Nigeria, and number 2 is Abidjan, Ivory Coast, right? For Lagos, really, it's simple, right? It's really because of the vibe and the energy and the pace and how it's population. So in terms of business and whatever that you're doing, the volume is there, numbers are there, it will make sense, And really, my last visit to Nigeria, my last visit to Lagos, that was the intention. I went there with that intention of moving there. But, I realized as well that for 2 weeks here, I realized Nigeria is a great place to visit, right? For a short period, especially Lagos, right? It's for a short period, 2 weeks, max 1 month, and then go. But to live there is also another thing, right? So that was it. And the other place that I felt is also Abidjan, Ivory Coast. And the reason is like really how it's like, Abidjan is like this melting pot, right? You have all these different West African, countries there, like nationalities. So it has such a very beautiful, vibrant vibe, So it's like for the food, you have different. It's like the capital of West Africa in a way, right? And also it's very like, in terms of infrastructural development, it is like the most developed city in West Africa. As for the place that I felt most at peace or connected with nature, hands down, right? Number 1 would be Mauritania. And these are actually my top 3 favorite countries in West Africa. Nigeria is number 1, number 2 is Ivory Coast, number 3 is Mauritania. Yeah, this one said, did you travel alone, or you use like a tour company, or you travel alone? Obviously, I travel alone, right? And of course, I had my dad as a tour guide, because he had traveled to all these places. So he was like, because I've never done this before. So, when I get stuck somewhere, I try to call my dad. Even though I was like, I'm a big guy, I can figure it out. I don't need my dad. But these West African borders have showed me so much shege, so much pepper, that I was running to my dad like a 3-year-old. When you're like a young kid, when something happens to the way you run to your father, like, Baba, you see, that's me at these West African borders, At the Mali border, hello, Baba. At this border, hello, Baba, because, So he was like my tour guide, throughout when I get stuck somewhere. Oh, do this, don't do this, go here, don't go here. Oh, if you go here, oh, it's good that you did not go here because they would have killed you there, and all those things, right? And this question is, how much did you spend in total? So the trip, I traveled around 15 countries, right, in the span of 5 months. And the whole thing cost like $481,000. That is like $7,000. I'm actually a very frugal person, right? I'm very, very, very frugal, and I do like the cheapest things. And of course, it was the first time. Also, I made some mistakes and things. But I'm sure if I'm to do this again, right, West Africa, the way I did it, if I'm to do, I think I can do it like with $5,000, right? Obviously, there are some places, some countries that I was hosted by, some families and friends and things. So that if I had that again, of course, but if not, then the cost can even go more than that. And this question says the best experiences, landscape, and all those things. Well, I'll start with the landscape. As for the landscape, I would say Guinea, Mauritania, and Cape Verde. Yeah, you see Guinea, very, very, very beautiful country, that one. Cape Verde, Mauritania, man, that place has my heart. I can't wait to go back to Mauritania. As for top experiences as well, the highlights, right? The highlights, best experiences during my trip. First one, I'll say Guinea. I camped at this like waterfall. I had pineapples, recited my Quran. Hearing the sounds of the waterfall, spending the that was very beautiful. That was wow. Visiting the gold and diamond mines in Sierra Leone and seeing how rich our continent actually is. The Durbar Festival in northern Nigeria. It's like I was in the past. Very, very, very beautiful, man. And actually, northern Nigeria was like the hardest goodbyes for me. Leaving, I was very sad to leave. And then another thing is the oasis of Terjit. We had camel meat for dinner in the morning. We got camel milk. We drank camel milk early in the morning. And then, we come there in the stars, in the desert, the camels. It was really a beautiful, beautiful moments. And of course in Cape Verde as well, when snorkeling with the turtles, another amazing, amazing experience. Also in Cape Verde, also, I had this very genuine connection with the guys, right? You just met them first day and the vibe was just amazing, man. Those are moments that I want to relive again. That Cape Verde with the man them there right next to the beach, having some grills, trying out all these different street foods in the streets of Accra, to Lagos, Benin, Togo, and then these sunsets, I swam in crystal clear waters of Cape Verde. But also another thing is like the language, my top two favorite languages really are the Ghanaian Twi and then the Igbo language, right? So me being there, like in these lands where they're actually speaking these languages and I'm hearing it, and I'm learning a word or two. Yeah, it was just amazing, man. This travel really. And I remember before leaving, I asked my dad, this is a lot of money. And my father said, you know what, no matter how much money you spend on traveling is actually worth it. And yes, this trip, even though there was a lot of things that didn't go right, but it was definitely worth it. It was money well spent, right? And now any money I have, I'm spending it on traveling, right? Because it's like very addictive something. So that's it. These are some of the highlights of, my travel experience, best experiences. And this one says, best food in West Africa. Best food. Let me tell you this. When it comes to food in Africa, West Africa is actually the goat. I'm just from East Africa, and I can tell you food. No, West Africa, we just have that one figured out. Every single country, man, every single country, that one is ours, right? But amongst the goats, amongst ourselves as well, there's one that is also like the goat. Obviously, I will not say Senegal or Gambia, because our foods are all the same. And if I say it, it's like, because of you are there. But so outside of Senegambia, I would say Togo, right? For me, as someone who has traveled to every country and tried the street foods everywhere, tried different foods, I give it to Togo. Like Togolese food, like the woman, no, Togo, yes, food, they really know what they're doing with food, man. Yeah, so hands down, best food in West Africa. For me, my opinion, Togo. The last question, it's like advice for someone who wants to do this, and then the countries that I recommend to visit in West Africa. So I'll start with the countries, right? Because West Africa is like 16 countries, but I'll give you 5 countries that when you visit, just know that you have like an overall understanding of West Africa, like you get the general vibe. Number 1, I would say Nigeria, right? Yes, you have to start with Nigeria. And then Ghana as well. You have to do Ghana to get really this feel of West Africa. And then Ivory Coast, right? Yes, Cote d'Ivoire, you really have that place where like Cote d'Ivoire, Ivoirien, that place is a vibe. And then Mali, right? Mali, that is the one country that if you skip it, just know your West African experience is incomplete. Even though I had a terrible time there, but really, Mali is worth visiting, And then last one, I'll say Senegal. I want to say Gambia so badly, but really Senegal and Gambia, like these are they're pretty much the same, right? So you'll have the same vibe. Actually, if you do Senegal very well, you have no reason to go to Gambia, right? Even though if you want to do Senegal well, you have to get into Gambia, because if you want to go to the southern part of Senegal, in Casamance region, as well, you cannot do Senegal and complete without going to the southern part, right? The Casamance and all. But to get there, you have to get into Gambia. So now the 5th one, I'll just say Senegal and Gambia. So if you do these 5, really you have an overall understanding of West African culture, the landscape, the people and everything. You just have the general understanding. I want to say Mauritania and Cape Verde, but I don't want to leave people out, but then like if you're going for the West African feel, yes, these are the 5 countries. And then as for the advice for the countries as for the advice for someone who wants to do something like this, first and foremost, I would say, forget your rights. Okay, I know my rights, I'm West African, ECOWAS, just put that one aside, because West African borders will show you shege. You will cry. you know, you will shed tears, big man. Me, I cried at the Liberian border, you know. If you think you're, oh, tough guy, da 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 da, West African borders will be waiting for you like they play, you know. Very serious, you know, it's like you're going to war. And you know, I saw these ladies, you know, these two Nigerian ladies. There's Pelumi and then there's Ibaide. Very bold ladies, you know. These ladies actually have more bold like than me, you know, especially Ibaide, you know, because I see her videos at these borders, you know, arguing with these border officials, going back and forth. Me, I really don't have that in me. Me, I'll just pay you and go. I don't want all that. But I feel like if there are more people like Ibaide, you know, doing this tour and then documenting it like she did, I'm sure this thing at some point it will stop, right? So first, I'll just say, you know, forget your rights, you know, just have some money aside just for convenience. Just bribe these, pay them and just go, you know. Yeah, you don't want to be there just arguing them. They have the whole day. That is their job, to sit there. You are traveling, you can't afford to just be, even though things that you are not supposed to pay, you are not, but just have that on aside, like just for convenience sake, right? That is number one. And then number two is advice that my dad gave me when I was leaving: travel light. You know, I was traveling with this bag, but even this is not light enough. You know, travel as light as possible. One shoe, you know, 3 trousers, 5 shirts. That's just carry essentials only. A lot of unexpected things happen, you know, so it's very essential that you're traveling light so that you can just jump on a bike or something. Just when something happens, you can just carry your bag and run with it or whatever. Yeah, the other thing is also be open-minded, right? See everyone as your brother, even if they don't see you like that, you know, because that is how you will be feel. You'll feel a lot like that. You'll realize that how West Africa, we really don't like each other. You will see that in these borders. You'll experience those things. But see everyone as your brother. At least it's better for one person to be blind than for both of you to be blind, right? If you are both blind, you can easily clash like this. But if one is blind and the other is not, you can easily, if they're doing like this, you can avoid them, right? So yeah, that's it. Be that open-minded, and you know, The other advice is also use to save money and all those things. Use US dollars, you know, or euros. It's cheaper, and it's actually, I know it's embarrassing to say this thing as an African traveling on Africa. You have to use euros or dollars, you know, instead of the afro. You know, we need like an afro, a currency that we can all use, because like I said, the whole trip cost me like $6,700. Like that's $7,000, right? But I'm sure if we had, and that is because of, you know, because of my bank, like the card charges, like there's 10% charges on everything. Like if I'm paying for an Airbnb, an apartment, you know, I'm paying with my card, there's 10% charge fees because of the card. And then also because when the ATMs that I'm using, you withdraw in for, there's charges on top of that. So all those things, imagine if you had like one currency, you know. And that's why I really, you know, the CFA is like, oh, it's colonial, whatever, but it makes a lot of sense traveling, because I realized when I was moving from those countries that are using CFA, those borders, it was very easy, like currency-wise, right? So really, when we have one currency for West Africa, no, let's not say Africa at all, because but let's say West Africa, we have one currency. That would make much sense, right? That would make a lot of sense. And East Africa also one currency, you know. I don't know why this is not achievable, this is not doable, you know. And I know a lot of times we say, oh, the West will not allow this, the West. I think we give the West too much credit, man. Me traveling around, this trip, actually, I realized something, right? It's not always where I say, oh, the West, they will not allow. Sometimes it's us, man. We are our own. Even you travel, you realize that, right? That's my advice. So thank you so much for watching. If you found this insightful, useful, you know, helpful, like this video, share your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel, and see you tomorrow.